Hello, what's up, y'all? Back with another video. I know you guys is waiting on me. Here I am. Here I go. Alright, so today's topic, so we're going to dive in just a little bit. And I want to talk about a few characters that walk around this planet with us. And this is for my chosen people. So, as a chosen, you know what I'm saying? It's in our nature to be caring people, you know, passionate. We have feelings, we have empathy, you know, to observe. And that's because all those are feelings of having a soul. Yeah, you have a soul, which aligns you with the higher power. But, you know, through time, we've seen that there are soulless beings walking around among us. And the best way I can describe some of these soulless people, we can have three categorized. I'm going to say a sociopath, I'm going to say a robot, and I'm going to say an NPC. All right? So, we're going to break this down. Because literally, we got to determine who we're around and what position they play. And we're going to break this down. So, for the robots, think of a robot, basically. They follow tasks. They are ordered to do things. Hold on one second, y'all. All right, like I was saying, we got like robots. Basically, robots are kind of like, if you think of a robot, they are ordered to do things. They're ordered to do tasks for you, but they don't feel. You know what I mean? They have no feelings to it. They don't have no empathy. They just do what they're told. Turn right, turn left, do this, do that. You know what I mean? So pretty much a bunch of yes men. They do what they're told. They're programmed. A lot of that comes from like social conditioning, which we've been programmed for a long time, over 400 years of programming. A bunch of robots walking around right now. You know, causes people to just go along with things without question. They just do what they're told. And unfortunately, that goes for a lot of African Americans, so-called, whatever. But we're waking up, y'all. We're waking up. Okay? So we're going to go over sociopaths. What do you guys think sociopaths? You know, what do you think that means to you? So they were doing a study in the Epstein files, and Epstein was saying basically that a person that has more, you know, tends to care less for others. And it doesn't necessarily mean like just money. It can have like more knowledge and this and that. That's what he said. I'm not saying it's true or not, but we all know that nigga's probably definitely a sociopath. Yeah, it's a form of like anti-personality, and not like, you know, antisocial. It's just kind of like you ignore feelings of other people for your own gain. You know, you don't really care of other people's feelings. You lack empathy. You know, you can't really feel emotions and stuff like that. You know, kind of very manipulative to get things that you want out of people, no matter the cost, because you really don't give a fuck, you know? You use people for gain, you know? And they tend to be very impulsive, acting without thought or consequences. They have no remorse, you know? Chronic lying, basically no soul. Usually, how they operate is they have to mimic the organic. So it's like a non-organic mimicking organic people. So they have to act human and act like they have human experiences. You know what I'm saying? So they master how people feel and mimic that. Okay? The organic, the soul people. So they come off, you know, pretty charming to reel you in. But it's literally just to get what they want. And however they do that, you know, it's through the soul. People with souls, they have to figure out if they're dealing with that, because their job is to basically take what they can get out of you for their personal gain, you know, and they can care less about what you say and how you feel. And if you don't get with the program, basically, you're useless. It's either get with the program or get out. You know, everything, how do you make me feel good? And if you can't, you know, kind of sounds narcissistic. They kind of go hand in hand, you know. But they're usually more high-headed, and it's out of calculation. Like I said, once you have an opinion or your own mind, that's when the high-headed goes, because it's like, you have to follow my lead. You have to be a robot or NPC, which I'm going to go through next. If you're not that, then you can't be around a sociopath. You know, it's going to be toxic, because you're not supposed to have any type of mind. Okay? Can't disagree. Can't have an opinion. All right, so yeah, we're talking about like robots and NPCs, and why a sociopath has to have a robot or NPC around, or they can't really operate. And it's basically like a chief and an Indian. You got to have the chief and you got to have the Indian. Somebody has to be the leader and somebody has to be the followers, right? So next we got the NPCs. Someone who doesn't think for themselves, y'all. How many people are walking around with, like, following trends? So that's what you see. People following a lot of trends. If you're a chosen person, you should be looking at people like following the trends, like, you know, because they repeat patterns. They follow different trends, you know. They follow scripts similar to a robot, you know. This how you walk. This how you talk. This how you dress. And, you know, you have to kind of get in line. Now, sociopaths create the NPCs because kind of like they go hand in hand. The sociopath has to make the NPC feel like, I don't even know how to break it down. I'm going to have to edit that part. Okay, basically to break it down, like they target people with lower status, and it's easy to manipulate. and mold them. You know what I mean? I have more, you know, it has more to do with like a weak mindset. So, not to take it there, but think of slavery. They had to manipulate the brain and let them know that they were better. And once they were able to know that they were better, they had to get them to idolize them and say, this is what you want to be like, right? You want to be like me. This is what you want to idolize, be like me. And so because they are doing a lot of comparing, like, no, this is ugly, dark is ugly, that's ugly, da 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 da. This is what you want to be like. They kind of molded your mind to make them the best be all. You know what I mean? The holy grail. I'm the whole package. That's because they kind of brainwash you into thinking that you're lower than. You know what I mean? So, yeah. And you can only kind of do that to NPCs because they follow the trends. You know what I mean? They're following trends. They're following repeating patterns. And they don't have a mind of their own. And so the sociopath needs the NPC. And they need the robots to program to keep the world in a repeated cycle. So it's the chosen that have to break the path. And we're the ones that when everybody is following directions, everybody's going right, you need to be going left. Because I think that was an old saying. If everybody's going right, you go left. Because we're not following trends. We're trendsetters. So all my chosen people, just think of it that way. Are you a robot? Are you a sociopath? Are you a fucking NPC? If not, have a mind on your own, y'all. Stop following these patterns. It's okay to be unique. It's okay to be different. And that's period. You guys have a lovely day.